The Mafia is one of the most infamous criminal organizations in history. They have been portrayed in many different movies such as The Godfather, Goodfellas, and Casino, just to name a few. But what actually makes them so scary? Today we will be looking at 10 facts about the Mafia that will show why they are the most feared crime syndicate in the world. Number 10. A family business. There are several different Mafia families across the world, but the largest and most powerful of these groups can be found in Italy. These groups are known as the Sicilian Mafia or the Cosa Nostra, which actually means our thing in Italian. This is a name that was first used by the Mafia themselves and was later adopted by law enforcement agencies who were trying to take down their operations. Although the term Mafia has become an umbrella term for all organized crime groups, it was originally used to describe this particular group in Sicily. Number 9. Origins of the crime syndicate. The exact origins of the Mafia are not fully understood. What we do know is that the organization was formed sometime in the early 1800s. The group began in Sicily and eventually spread out to other parts of Italy and even other countries. Many people believe that the Mafia was formed because of the inequality between the rich and poor in Italy. Back then, there was very little law enforcement on the island of Sicily, and people had to rely on themselves to survive. This led to the creation of gangs, which eventually grew into the Mafia that we know today. Number 8. Illegal activities. While the Mafia was initially started to protect the poor from being taken advantage of by the rich, it quickly took a turn when they realized how much money there was to be made by committing crimes. Today, the Mafia's main source of income is extortion. They will often target small business owners and threaten them if they do unpay a certain amount of money. If the business owner does not comply, then the Mafia will often resort to violence. The Mafia also makes a lot of money through illegal gambling and drug trafficking. Number 7. Hierarchy of the Mafia. The Mafia is a highly organized group, and they have a strict hierarchy that everyone must follow. At the top of the pyramid, you have the boss, who is basically the CEO of the company. Under him, you have the underboss, who helps the boss make major decisions. Next, you have the consigliere, who is basically the lawyer of the group. He is the one who gives advice to the other members of the group. You then have the capo regime, who are the heads of the different crews within the Mafia. Under them, you have the soldati, who are the soldiers of the Mafia. These are the ones who carry out the illegal activities. And at the bottom, you have the associates, who are basically the lower-level members of the group. They usually do odd jobs for the soldiers, and sometimes they get involved in illegal activities too. 6. Initiation rituals. If you want to join the Mafia, you have to go through an initiation ritual known as the blood oath. During this ceremony, the potential member is brought into a room with several other members of the Mafia. They are then given a candle and told to light the candles of the other members. Once this is done, the potential member is then asked if he wants to join the Mafia. If he says yes, then he has to swear an oath of secrecy and loyalty to the group. After this, the potential member is officially a member of the Mafia. Number 5. The 5 families of New York. Although the Mafia originated in Italy, it quickly spread to other parts of the world, including the United States. The first family that was formed in America was the Bonanno crime family. This group was started by Joseph Bonanno in the early 1900s. The second family to be formed was the Colombo crime family. This group was started by Giuseppe Colombo in the mid-1900s. The third family to be formed was the Genovese crime family. This group was started by Vito Genovese in the late 1900s. The fourth family to be formed was the Lucchese crime family. This group was started by Thomas Lucchese in the early 1900s. The fifth and final family to be formed was the Gambino crime family. This group was started by Carlo Gambino. In the mid-1900s, these 5 families have been the most powerful and influential Mafia families in America. They have been involved in some of the most notorious crimes in American history. For warring factions. Over the years, there have been several different wars between the various Mafia factions. The most famous of these wars was the Castellamarese War. This war took place between the various Mafia families in America, and it lasted from 1905 to 1931. The war was fought over control of territory and power, and it resulted in hundreds of deaths. Another famous war that took place was the Mafia Commission War. This war took place in the 1980s, and it was fought between the five families in New York. The war resulted in several murders, and it ended with the imprisonment of many of the top bosses. No, 3. Women in the Mafia. Although the Mafia is mostly a male-dominated organization, there have been several women who have made a name for themselves in the group. One of the most famous female mafiosos was Santina Di Matteo. She was the wife of a mafia boss, and she became the acting boss when her husband went to prison. She was in charge of a crew of 200 men, and she was able to maintain control of her husband's territory while he was away. Another famous female mafia member was Maria Coffer. She was a prostitute who turned informant for the FBI. She provided the government with valuable information on the mafia, and she helped take down several major crime bosses. Number 2. Famous mafia bosses. There have been several famous mafia bosses over the years. One of the most famous of these bosses was Al Capone. He was the boss of the Chicago outfit during the Prohibition era, and he made a fortune selling illegal alcohol. He was eventually sentenced to 11 years in prison for tax evasion, and he served 7 of those years. Another famous mafia boss was Lucky Luciano. He was the boss of the Genovese crime family, and he was one of the most powerful mobsters of all time. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for trafficking, and he was released in 1960. Number 1. Modern-day mafia. Although the mafia has been around for centuries, it is still active today. In fact, it is estimated that there are over 100,000 members of the mafia in Italy alone. In America, it is estimated that there are over 20,000 members. The mafia is still involved in a number of illegal activities, including extortion, gambling, and drug trafficking. They also have a strong presence in the business world, and they own several legitimate businesses. Although the mafia is not as powerful as it once was, it is still a dangerous organization, and you should definitely not mess with them. If you enjoyed this video, check out the next one.